If it wasn't for George Bush's policies, Osama would still be in Pakistan, Scott.
Se murió el maricón. El maricón. Ahorita está en el infierno. Can you imagine when he woke up?
Today's a great day. Today we found out that the head of Al Qaeda has been killed by our troops. Today we found out that the head of the organization that murdered 3,000 innocent Americans was killed by our troops. But while it is a great day, we cannot be complacent, because I'm sure, as we stand here, there are those that say, because Bin Laden has been killed, and because we killed the head of Al Qaeda, we can go home, that it's over. But the fact is that it is not over. That while Bin Laden was the largest head of the snake, there are many heads of many snakes who are willing to stand in Bin Laden's shoes and take over for this evil man and this evil movement. So we cannot be complacent. I want you to remember back to 1995, when there was an individual named Fatih Shakaki. At the time, he was the global head of Palestinian Islamic Jihad. He was the global head of Palestinian Islamic Jihad. And he was assassinated in 1995 by the Israelis. And shortly before his assassination, there was an individual named Sami Al-Arian. He was a professor at the University of South Florida. He went to the administration of USF and he asked them if they could bring to campus, as a professor, as an adjunct professor, an individual named Ramadan Shalaa. And the university okayed the move. And soon Shalaa was an adjunct professor, a professor at the University of South Florida. And one day during class, Shalaa disappeared from the university. A professor at the University a professor at USF had disappeared. And everyone in the area was asking, what happened to Ramadan Shalaa? Where did this professor at USF go? And shortly after that, we found out. In Damascus, Syria, Shalaa stood, and to the world, he announced that he was the new head, the new global leader of Palestinian Islamic Jihad. So there was a leader to take the place of Shakaki, just like there will be a leader to take the place of Bin Laden. And one of those individuals, and there will be probably hundreds of individuals that will sign up to become leader. But one of those individuals was from right here in Miramar, Florida, Adnan Shukri Juma, who is today the chief of operations for Al Qaeda. So right here locally, we could wind up with the head of Al Qaeda. So while again, this is an amazing day, we must not be complacent. And as well, while this is a day to celebrate, it's also a day to mourn. To mourn the 3,000 innocent individuals, innocent Americans, who perished on September 11, 2001. Last night I was at the Holocaust Memorial in Miami, and I had the honor of participating in an event which featured our senator, our great senator Marco Rubio, who gave a wonderful speech about support for Israel. And at this event, I was asked to read off names from those who perished during the Holocaust. They gave me a half an hour to read off names, and I read as many as I could in that time period. And I have to tell you that after you're reading so many names, you begin to think to yourself, why am I here? And what am I doing? And you get choked up because there's something psychological about that, about reading so many names and start to think about where those names came from, and all those lives that perished, and all those lives that were lost, and all those families' lives that were shattered because of that. And I think today, what if I was doing that for those victims of 9/11, just reading off those names, and to think about all those Americans whose lives were lost, and all those American families whose lives were shattered from the tragic event. So again, while this is a day to celebrate, we certainly must mourn. But it is a great day nonetheless. And it is something important that our American troops need to do things like murder Bin Laden. That's what they're there for. That's why they're in Afghanistan. They're not in Afghanistan. They're not in Afghanistan to be traffic cops, although they do that every day. And our troops are not in Afghanistan to rebuild Afghanistan from the war, although they help in doing that every day. And our troops are not there to befriend the citizens of Afghanistan, although they do that every day. No, they are there for one reason, and that is to destroy the individuals who are responsible for 9/11. And that is to destroy the organization that is responsible for 9/11 and those who provide support for that organization. That is the reason why we are there. I want to thank, first and foremost, President Bush. I want to thank President Bush for having the guts.
Right on, man. Hey, man.
I want to praise President Bush for having the guts to go into Afghanistan, because he understood that right after 9/11, we needed to do something. We needed to show strength. We could not show weakness at that time. And so we went into Afghanistan with full force. And while I stand here with the Tea Party, I also have to thank, unlikely that I would be thanking this individual, but I need to thank President Obama for giving the orders to take care of this operation. But first and foremost, before anybody, we must thank the troops. We must thank the troops who give their lives. Who give their lives, who have volunteered for this service when they did not need to volunteer for this. Nobody forced them to go to places like Iraq or Afghanistan, but they are doing so, and they are risking their lives doing it. And we need to thank them for that, because in my opinion, they're doing a lot more for us, protecting us, than we have ever done for them. And for that, we really need to thank them. So thank you, troops, and thank all of you. Thank you for standing here, to signify that this part of the war has ended, that we have killed the head of Al Qaeda, and we hopefully will continue to head the future heads of these terrorist organizations that threaten us. Thank you.
Praise God. Yeah. Praise God. Don't forget to praise God for it, y'all.
Praise God.